ESPN's Wide World of Sports alongside Megan Bush. Bernie Gunther, glad to have you with us. USSSA Florida Pride taking on the Akron Racers tonight. And I know you like plenty of offense back in your days at Florida and with the Racers in the NPF. And, man, you're seeing tons of offensive production for the USSSA Pride. Last night, they've scored 12 runs.
Yeah, and how can they not with the roster that they have? They have so much power, so much speed, and they really showcased it against a pitcher that's going to allow them to put it in play.
And probably the biggest question mark tonight is how do you respond if you're the Akron Racers? You know, they have Lisa Norris going for them, their ace, and that's probably going to be the big difference maker for them.
Exactly. Lisa Norris has to keep them in the game as long as she possibly can, and that's where they're going to fuel offensively.
Racers still trying to string together that big inning offensively. They've been able to score 2 runs in back-to-back games as Jill Barrett leads off the contest. And that, of course, has been the storyline, but probably the biggest factor that has gone against the Racers is their struggles pitching and their struggles defensively.
Yeah, it's really hard to come back from a deficit that's so quickly in the game. When you're down 9-10 runs, where do you go with that? And who are you going to put into bat? A lot of times they pull their starters and give other opportunities to players.
Barrett's retired for out number 1. And a quick start tonight for Chelsea Thomas, starting pitcher for the USSSA Pride. And what do you like about Chelsea Thomas and her transition from playing at Mizzou to the USSSA Florida Pride?
Chelsea Thomas has so much movement, so much spin, and then also has a great off-speed pitch. Really difficult to match that one around the country. But she's also coming back from rehabbing a shoulder surgery in both shoulders last summer, and it's a really long process, and she's been able to get right back on it and gain her speed again.
This is Narissa Myers. She's been just about as good as anyone on this Racers team offensively this season.
Well, Myers here now has to become another leadoff batter after Barrett puts the ball in play really well. Madison Shipman had to make a quick play in order to get Barrett, but now Myers' job is just to get on base and set up something for Charlotte Morgan behind her.
Two and two. It's outside 3 balls and 2 strikes. And I know back in your playing days, especially at the University of Florida, you didn't face many a day like the Racers did yesterday where they lost 12-2. But how do you respond as individuals after that type of a beating, if you will?
Well, I also played for the Racers, and we had days like that where it seemed like you weren't going to be able to bounce back. But as players, you just have to pull together as a team. Girls on the Racers, girls on the Pride, they're 25 and older, so they've played this game for a long time. They know what a bad loss is. They know what a good day is, and they just know how to wipe that away, but then also learn from it. So they had to face Kat Osterman yesterday, and clearly Kat Osterman in one of her best years yet. Now they have a different opportunity facing a younger pitcher, so they have to be able to jump on her early.
Charlotte Morgan is the hitter now. The former Alabama Crimson Tide player played as well for the USSSA Florida Pride. And I'm sure at first coming back and playing against her former team, maybe a little bit of a grudge, but I'm sure, you know, as the years have subsided from her days with USSSA, maybe not the same amount of intensity, or you think you always keep it when a team trades you away?
I don't know if you can call it resentment, but once you go from the Pride, who's the top in this league, to go into a different team, you just have that desire to go back and prove that you are a difference maker and you can come back in and have your team win now. So it's different, because whereas Charlotte Morgan was a part of a roster that was stacked from 1 to 9, she is the leader of this lineup, and she can really prove herself and make a huge impact in these games for the Racers.
Lineup for the Racers tonight looks this way. Barrett leading off. She's followed by Myers, Morgan, Cusio hitting the cleanup hole. Montalvo hits 5th. Schlope 6th. It's Alden 7th. Ashley Thomas 8th, and Ayumi Carino in right field rounding out the lineup for the Racers. Pride defensively on the infield looks like normal. It's Duran at third, Shipman at short, Courtney Seo at second, DeSalvatore is at first as we see Charlotte Morgan draw the walk. Kretschmann's getting the start at right tonight, Low in center, and Natasha Watley out in left field.
So far, Shipman's had to do most of the work in this inning. Both balls hit to her, one on the ground, one in the air, so she's had to cover a lot of ground. But what you'll notice is the Racers are making Chelsea Thomas throw a lot of pitches. Myers, the at-bat before Morgan, went to full count before she popped up, and then Morgan right there seeing quite a few pitches. So that's going to be a goal for them, and to limit the strikeouts. They had 10 strikeouts in last night's game, so they're looking to put that ball in play more.
Well, and obviously the more you put the ball in play, the more chances you have for success. Probably the biggest determining factor for the Racers, you know, when you're striking out that many times, there's just not any opportunity to move runners forward and even pick up some of those small ball runs as well.
Exactly. Only having 3 hits in the game, it really limits your amount of base runners, especially against Osterman, who has control to where she's not going to have a lot of walks and a lot of free bases. So now that you're not facing Osterman, that's a different light where you can kind of go up with more confidence.
Thomas trying to get her first strike out of the ball game, but they see Cusio able to hold up, and they're leaving the count at 2-2. There's Charlotte Morgan at first, all smiles.
Yeah, when you play with people you used to play with or friends that you know around the league, it's a lot more fun once you get on base. You can have a few more conversations.
Popped up, and Seo on the run makes the play for the final out. Racers strand a runner in the first. Pride will come to the plate on the backs of a 12-run effort last night. We'll see the Pride batters when we come back to ESPN Wide World of Sports. USSSA is the world's premier sports organization with over 4 million participants. The top youth baseball stars compete at the Wilson DeMarini Elite World Series and the Louisville Slugger Championship, looking to qualify for the USSSA National Youth Championships. In fast pitch, the top teenagers are on the field with USA Select, and the best in the world are on the USSSA Florida Pride. Nationwide Conference USSSA provides the ultimate challenge in slow pitch softball. At every level, you play the best when you play USSSA.
In the nation, we reward safe driving. Add Vanishing Deductible from Nationwide Insurance and get $100 off every year of safe driving, which means you could save a lot of Benjamins. We put members first because we don't have shareholders. Join the nation.
Nationwide is on your side.
USSSA members, you could save money on your auto insurance. Call a local Nationwide agent or 1-866-633-5747.
Back here at ESPN Wide World of Sports, Bernie Gunther, Megan Bush, and Krista Bedard with you for a doubleheader tonight on USSSALive.com. Starters tonight for the Pride look this way. Watley leads off, followed by Lowe. Shipman in the 3-hole. Duran was a perfect 3 for 3 to start the ball game. Single, double, single with 3 runs batted in. She was very productive, and she's the cleanup hitter once again tonight, followed by DeSalvatore, Kretschmann, Sandberg, Jessica Schultz in the 8-hole. 9th, Courtney Seo, as they go up tonight against Elisa Norris and the Akron Racers. And the question for the Pride is, when you take a look at how good they were last night offensively, how do you really keep those engines moving, or is it one of those things that momentum just continues to carry on?
Well, the Pride never really has to worry about getting their game started, especially with the top of the lineup that they put up there with Watley and Lowe. That's going to be the challenge set on Norris, not necessarily on the Pride, because they're just leaders from the beginning, and they have the same at-bats pretty much every time they're up.
Not the start Norris had hoped for. She missed the plate with her first 2 pitches.
Norris is a pitcher that really tries to get ahead early. So like you said, not exactly the start she's hoping for, especially when you know that you have to come back on the plate. You don't want Watley to have a free base. Just her being on the base path is going to be a threat for an automatic 2-bagger.
And that was the storyline last night. It just seemed like the top 3 hitters in the Pride lineup were on board all day long, and that's how it starts. Watley with a leadoff walk, and Lisa Norris is yet to fire a strike.
Norris on that last one, not missing by much, but since Watley was ahead in the count, she really didn't have to go chasing. So that ball up in the zone, she was able to pick it up and then let that one go. And it was pretty simple when you aren't getting any strikes from the pitcher.
Kaylin Lowe now. That's what makes her so dangerous. You see her squaring to bunt, but she certainly has the speed to bunt for a base hit as well, even if she's trying to essentially just move Watley over to second base.
It would be really interesting to see if she would pull back.
And it's off the glove of Myers. Watley on her way to third. And a little reminiscent of last night, the Pride working it very early.
You see the threat right there that Watley and Lowe present. With so much speed, as soon as Lowe puts that ball in play, Watley's already on her way to second. As soon as it tips off of Myers' glove, because it was over Myers' head, she was able to make it to third, no problem. She never stopped her feet, continued to run the entire way.
Madison Shipman swinging to center, and on the run is Schlopy, tracking it down for the first out, but Watley will tag and score. And so credit Shipman with a sacrifice fly.
I'm really surprised they actually didn't cut that ball off, and I'm even more surprised that Lowe didn't try to take second, because that throw was dying as soon as it got to the circle. You could tell that Lisa Norris wanted to stop that ball, but with Lowe not moving, she didn't have to. But you can just see Shipman's contact right on that ball. Schlopy just read it so well. That's usually the hardest one to read, is one right at you, but she didn't have to go back for it, and that made it an easy play.
Well, you talk about a fine wine getting better as they get older, and that's been the story for Andrea Duran. The last 2 years, something has clicked for her offensively, and she has absolutely been on a tear, because early in her NPF career, she was known more as a great defensive ball player that was going to get a handful of clutch hits. But she's turned into this season the best hitting player on the best team in the world.
I think that comes a lot with confidence that she has, and she's such a simple hitter. Her hands don't move. She doesn't take a big lead or big load, and she doesn't take a huge step. She just gets her hands to the ball and is so strong to provide that power.
Here's Gianna DeSalvatore.
There really is so much power in the middle part of this lineup, and a lot of veterans that you see, and I think Gianna DeSalvatore even can be included in that. She's played now for about four years, and she's gotten better every year that she has. She started out on the Carolina Diamonds and made it all the way to the Pride.
Low on her way to second, the throw waiting for Uden with a brilliant throw down to retire the side, but you know what they say, when you give up that leadoff walk 90% of the time, you're going to see a run come across, and that's exactly what happened to the first. Watley leads off the first with a walk. Shipman's sacrifice fly brings her in, and the Pride leading 1-0 as we head to the second. Let's check in with the third member of our team, Krista Bedard. KB?
Hey, Bernie. So Akron head coach Brian Levin is hoping that Lisa Norris is back to full strength. She struggled to find her comfort zone in this first inning, but she's one of those players that's been working hard to get her health and sustainability back to 100%. Earlier this season, the foot she injured last year was bothering her, and she had some shoulder issues. She's been getting back the strength, getting the pitches in, and he's looking for a great performance today so that she can build on it coming up to that championship series.
Well, Megan, one of the things you talked about at the onset about Lisa Norris, it's been a real big difference maker for her, is the change in velocity after the surgery has probably been the biggest change that she's had to deal with.
Well, her surgery was in December, and it was on the ball of her foot that drives off of the mound. And so what that does is it keeps her from pushing off as much as she was. And basically, as a pitcher, she was one that dealt mostly with speed, and then also came with the off speed to offset that. And without being able to drive, she's lost about 3 miles per hour in her fastball, her rise ball, her drop ball. So that's had to take a toll on it, where she's really had to work more on spin and more of the mental game, knowing that Pride's going to score 1-2 runs. You can't give up after that. And you can see that she settled down in that last inning.
Well, historically for the Akron Racers, when Lisa Norris has gone to the circle, that's probably been one of their best opportunities of the year to win a ball game. So Akron's certainly in a good situation tonight because, you know, Pride took the first 2 games of the series, but, you know, this is a doubleheader. So you win this one, you win the next one, and you know, we saw down in Round Rock with the Pride and the Chicago Bandits. The Pride were all over Chicago in the first 2 games. Chicago catches a break, and they just roll on to tie the series as they take 2. A lot can happen today with this doubleheader momentum-wise.
Exactly. When you plan for lineups, you have to plan for the second game as well. Who's going to start that second game, because they probably can't come in and relieve in the first game, and who are you going to rest? Who is going to get the opportunity to come in and hit? It's all got to be planned out before the first game, because you have to play for 2, and you have to understand what this means. Right now, the Racers need a win in game 1, so they're looking for the first. Pride is looking to take the first and second.
Kelly Montalvo at the plate. Chopper to Shipman. Out number 1. I know you really liked Kelly Montalvo's haircut. You were getting a chance to take a look at and take it all in before the game.
Well, she kind of mentioned it. She's the zebra. She
Yeah.
really can take all forms. She had long hair when I played with her. She had short hair, and now it's basically shaved on both sides, so she could pull it off. I could never, ever try that. But I give her credit for being just that outgoing personality that would try anything.
So Montalvo is retired for out number 1, and that brings up Taylor Schlope. And this athlete you've known for basically all of your softball career.
Yeah, she was on my first travel ball team when I was 12 years old. So we played a little bit there, and then we played against each other. I played at Florida, she played at Georgia, and then we played together on the Akron Racers. So we really followed each other and seen each other, how we've changed. She actually started out as a pitcher. She was the best pitcher in our area when she was 12 years old, and then has since gone to being that pitcher, or excuse me, hitter outfielder, and really taken form to be a leader on the Racers.
And she really has been that fiery one no matter where she's gone. Obviously, it's one of the things that Georgia and Lou Harris-Champer have been known for over the years, is their attitude that they brought to the table every time you played them.
Yeah, she's the vocal leader. She is a leader no matter how she's doing. If she's not hitting well, if she makes an error, she doesn't get down. She knows how important she is to the team and what her mentality also means. So she keeps it up, and that's why she's consistently in the lineup, whether she's hitting and producing or not. I also just love how she battles in the box. She can foul off a pitch in the dirt. She can foul off a pitch over her head. That's kind of what you get with batting Montalvo and Schlope back-to-back, probably the 2 shortest girls on this team with some of the bigger swings. So definitely girls that may have been overlooked at first, but you could just see how much power that they get from their swings.
Down the line, but foul. And what have you seen during your career, the difference between playing at college and moving to the NPF? How did you need to evolve as a player?
Well, it's difficult to come into a program, coming from a program where you're at the top of your game, you're at the top of the level, you're the senior, you've been there for 4 years, you know exactly what you're doing and what to expect. Then you come onto this field and you're a star among stars, so you have to find some way to stand out, and that's probably the most difficult thing, is trying to earn your spot against a girl that's been in the NPF for 3 or 4 years, and it's really difficult. But the rookies on the USSSA Pride have been so impressive. They made some of the biggest impacts, especially up the middle with Shipman and Sio. Shipman already having to do a lot to keep this game where it is for Thomas.
Haley Uden. taught me that one before the game.
Yeah, that's a tough name to pronounce. I'm pretty sure I would have gotten that one wrong.
We saw her with a strike down to second as she caught Kaylin Lowe stealing. So we've seen what she can do, and now Akron trying to get into scoring position. Schlope with a stolen base.
You can just see how important just one run is for the racers. They're going to do anything to move runners over. That looked like it might have been a hit and run, maybe just a swing to protect your runner. Schlope doesn't need a lot of protecting. She's got good speed, and she's got good knowledge of when to leave. And it's difficult, but with Thomas's motion, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. There's nothing too tricky about it. So Schlope got a good jump, still a pretty good throw. So you can see how Uten's shoulders pulled off of it. I'm not sure if she was trying to make contact on it, but Schlope with a good hard slide made it difficult for Shipman to keep that in front.
You'd think, especially with the result last night, that this is an important part of this ball game early for the Akron Racers. If anything, just for confidence, if they can try to tie the ball game. Slow roller, they're going to test the arms of Shipman again. And it's pretty tough taking the place of a legend at shortstop, but that is exactly what Madison Shipman has done. And she's done so since the beginning of the season. Wadley moving out to left field, and Shipman has been extremely confident. I just love the way she comes up firing.
Yeah, she has so much athleticism. She gets down and can field a ball in front of her. She has great range. 4 out of the 7 batters in this game have hit the ball to her so far. So she's had to be on her toes. Great at Tennessee. She's an All-American, the SEC Player of the Year. So she just has that confidence about her, which you have to have when you step out on the field with some of these former Olympians.
Thomas is now the hitter. Schlope has moved to third on the ground ball to Shipman.
You have to give credit to Schlope for being able to advance on that. Usually you think ground ball to the left side, somebody's not going to be able to advance from second to third, but she saw how slow that ball was hit. She knew she could get past the ball before that ball got into the baseline. She was able to get herself 60 feet closer.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Thomas is yet to record a strikeout tonight, trying to do so against Ashley Thomas, and she does. A big K there to end the inning. We move down to the bottom of the second. The Pride have Natasha Watley across the plate early in this one, up by a run. Thomas recording her first K to end the threat.
I bring it all to the plate. I bring my love for this game. I bring the perfect feel of connecting with a 3-piece bat. I bring power with a thinner wall and stronger barrel, and the confidence of a larger sweet spot. So bring the heat. I own this. I'll show you beautifully powerful.
Hello, I'm Don DiDonatis, Chairman of the Board and CEO of USSSA.
In the year 2000, we introduced fast pitch softball to our association with the goal of becoming the nation's #1 fast pitch organization. Today, we believe we have reached that goal. Thousands of teams throughout the nation are playing USSSA. We're also involved at the professional level with the NPF, providing all young female athletes the opportunity to dream of one day playing professionally.
We invite you to dream NPF and play USSSA.
Back here at ESPNY World Sports, Bernie Gunther, Megan Bush, Krista Bedard. We got an all-Gator crew tonight on the air.
I know, my favorite kind of crew.
DeSalvatore leading things off for the Pride. Getting a second opportunity. after Caitlin Lowe was caught stealing to end the first.
And it's a rare opportunity to get so many pitches, so many looks at pitches in a row. She really had almost a half of an at-bat, seeing a few pitches and then coming up and starting off as a leadoff batter.
Takes the first pitch and fouls it down the left field line. What did you always like about Lisa Norris when she was your teammate back up at Firestone Stadium?
What I like about
Yeah.
it? Well, I like that she's such a leader, and I meant to mention this in the first inning, is that's why the Akron Racers are so much more comfortable with her in the circle. She's been there probably the longest than anybody on this team, and she's been with the Racers pretty much the whole time. So she knows what she's doing, she knows the drill, and she has so much confidence. She never gets upset, she never gets rattled. She's just a rock in the circle.
1-1, lifted out to center to Schlope. And DeSalvatore is retired to start the inning.
Well, as you can already tell, after having a shaky start to the first inning, she comes back, shakes it off, and gets the first out and got the first strike of the inning in the first pitch. So that's going to be important for her, is getting the first pitch strike and then staying ahead of the batters the whole time. If you fall behind these hitters in the Pride lineup, it's going to be a long night.
Here's Kelly Kretschmann. Amazing to think that she is still as good as she is at the top of her game, as long as she has been in the NPF. She was one of the founding members of the Alabama Crimson Tide when Patrick Murphy started that program.
Yeah, you just talk about the age and the experience and the veterans on the Pride, and they seem to have just all been getting better year after year. So it's a question that we're going to continue to ask, but how do they get better? It's something that they haven't left the game during the season. They haven't left the game over the course of, I don't even know how many years, but they are, like you said, they're the idea of the NPF. They are where you can play as long as you can after you graduate from college.
Well, and probably the hardest thing for these players as you continue on your career is not obviously when you're in the season. I'm sure you get in the groove, you're getting cuts with your players and you're playing, but it's the off season that you really can pay dividends to how good you're going to be the next season.
And it really is how much you have the accessibility to the game of softball. A lot of these girls are coaches or assistant coaches, and they get to be around softball to where they see the game every day. They think about the game every day, and that way you really never get rusty. It's the girls that don't have that same accessibility where they're in school, not around softball, that it's hard to get those reps in or just to see that game.
Payoff pitch. Norris already has issued a walk. This time it's going to go over the glove of Narissa Myers for a base hit. That's the second of the ball game for the Pride. And there's one on with one out here in the second.
Such an impressive hit by Kretschmann, because that ball was more on the inner half of the plate. She got jammed a little bit, but had the strength to muscle that ball opposite field, and just perfect placement there. You can see that ball isn't even on the outside part of the plate, but she gets her hands extended and knows exactly what it is when it passes Myers. She gets on first base and doesn't try to take two. She just lets the impressive Pride lineup to hit behind her.
The designated player tonight is Kristen Sandberg. And even after all these years in the NPF, she's still getting hit by pitch. That's what she was really known for her first season coming in to play for the USSSA Pride.
A lot of times players hate getting hit by the pitch, and
there you go.
You were pretty much right on cue, and you could tell she's never very happy about it. But I was here about a week ago, I think it was a week from today or yesterday, that she was hit in the Bandits game, and actually she was pinch ran for, but her run was the winning run and moved the tying run in scoring position in the 7th inning. So sometimes it can just be more helpful than anything. Right now it moves Kretschmann into scoring position. That's all you can really ask with this part of the lineup coming up.
Jessica Schultz getting the nod tonight as catcher. And I'd assume, by the way, if you're Kristen Sandberg, that you want to make a pretty decent investment in the Evo Shield technology.
I think she even had 2 on last time, 2 Evo Shields on her arm, and it hit her in the wrist. Same thing happened with Megan Willis. She had 2 Evo shields on and ended up getting hit in the wrist. So there are some places that you could just never protect. I'm sure she's sponsored, though.
Got to help, right? One and one with 2 aboard, and this one down the line, and it's caught. Jill Barrett on the run for out number 2. That's some nice range there. And possibly saved 2 more runs coming in to score.
Really impressive by Barrett, because most likely Barrett wasn't even shading all the way toward that line, because Schultz, known as a power hitter, likes to drive up the middle more. But she was able to cover that range and also catch it on the run, but stop and look back to make sure runners weren't trying to advance. Kretschmann already had a pretty good lead, so she could take her time to get that ball back into the infield.
Courtney Seo now. She joked when we filmed the DeMarini commercial that she was more of a bunter than a hitter. What does that tell you?
She definitely is. She plays the short game, but then I think she really exposed the hitter that she can be against the Bandits with her triple last week, and it really broke out and showed what kind of player she could be if she wanted. She still sticks to that short game, but when she stands in, she can provide a lot of pop.
Pride have 2 aboard with 2 out. Lisa Norris trying to get out of a jam here in consecutive innings to start the ball game.
When Seo stands in, she has to make sure that she works with her hands a little bit more, similar to what she would do as a slapper. She works more with her hands and keeps her bat head behind her. Right there, she was just rolling over a little bit too much. That's what you're going to get with Norris in the circle, girls that are rolling over that off-speed pitch because they're out in front.
Two on, 2 out. A 2-2 count here in the second. We'll try the 2-2 once again.
Great job by Norris, though, keeping that ball off the plate. That's not going to be a pitch that Seo is going to be able to hit successfully. As long as she's about 3 to 4 inches off the plate, Seo just has to protect. But now Norris wants to get this at bat over with. She doesn't want to throw too many pitches.
It's outside. Full count. Last pitch 64 miles an hour.
So it is down a little bit from what she wants, but she knows how to make that ball spin. She's going to have to come on the plate, though. She doesn't want to throw to Watley, bases loaded.
Got her swinging. A huge strikeout to retire the side. And Norris gets herself out of a jam. It's the Pride up by a run as we check in once again with the 3rd member of our team, Krista Bedard.
Hey, Bernie. Well, the Pride offense and the team has been completely locked in and dialed in, and the team attributes most of their focus. Well, thanks, Bernie. The Pride team has been so dialed in and so focused on their game, and they said they can attribute most of that to being home. After they were gone for 14 days, all of them could not wait to be back in their own beds, to be cooking their own meals, to be living life normal. They said when everything in their life outside of softball is working, it's so much easier to focus on the softball game. Gianna DeSalvatore said she's enjoyed cooking for herself so much that when they leave on Wednesday again, that's one of the biggest things she's going to miss. But this team knows that they're rolling so well that they just have to remember what it's like when their routines are good so that it can come through on the field.
That's what it's all about, certainly keeping things in routine. And I have to say, after scoring 12 runs last night, whatever was working for you, you want to continue to keep doing it.
Exactly. I think that softball has a lot to do with superstitions and actually not physically playing anymore. It's easy for me to say that it's just crazy, but when you do something and then it turns out successful, you just have to believe that it's the preparation that goes into it as well. So it's something that you miss from college, where college is pretty much the same routine, whether it's on the road or whether it's at home. Once you step into the NPF, you're responsible for everything from your food to getting to the field on time to your travel plans. And it's got to be something that you're on top of, or everything's going to fall out on the field.
Ayumi Carino will lead things off for the Racers here in the third. And that's where a night like last night can really affect you in so many ways, because you take a look at players that start the game, you're lined up on the lines, the national anthem just finished, you're ready to play ball, 40-minute delay. You know, you play 2 more innings, another 40-minute delay. And, you know, you take a look at players that are so used to their routines, you hate to get out of that flow, if you will, because that's so important to how much success you can have on the field.
Exactly, and they don't have actually too many players from Florida on either of these teams, but we're pretty used to those rain delays down here because it rains almost every day over summer. So by now they have to be prepared for something like that. But like I said before, it's the experience. They've all played, they've all been through rain delays, even in travel ball. So they've prepared for the mentality to be able to last a ton of innings, a ton of time in between innings. And I think the game ended around 11:30 last night.
Yeah.
So they're prepared to come right back and stay strong.
Well, you mentioned travel ball. The USSSA Fast Pitch World Series just finished up in the stadium here, and the Elite World Series for baseball just kicking off today and getting underway. And that's, you know, some of the challenges as you see Courtney Seo bobble that one, and that should be scored an error.
Yeah, you could tell Seo's a little bit frustrated but that was all she could do. That's a do or die play where she either has to sit back, let that player, and let Carino's speed challenge her. She came forward to get that on the hop and just wasn't able to keep it in the glove. And I didn't really see anything wrong with that play other than the fact that maybe Seo pulled up and didn't watch that ball all the way into her glove. But really that was the biggest decision.
Runner going, and a stolen base. Carino's in a scoring position, and the Racers in a pretty good situation here in the third inning after the error committed by Courtney Seo.
Well, being at the top of their lineup has a big advantage. Now they've seen Chelsea Thomas one time through. They've been able to talk in the dugout to see what each hitter has seen, what's the general consensus of what she's throwing them.
Duran can't make the play, and they're on the corners.
Well, that's going to be huge, especially with a leadoff hitter with the same idea as Natasha Watley. All you have to see is where that infield's playing you. Where are they prepared for you? Last time Barrett was up, she hit it to the shortstop. This time, she's able to get a ball in the outside corner. So she's already taken a step toward first base. She uses her speed and forces Duran into a bad throw.
And again, this is where the Racers found themselves last night in the lineup with Narissa Myers coming to the plate. And this is exactly where you want to be if you're a Racers fan, because here is your biggest bat, your most productive bat, coming in a difference-making situation. The big question is, she couldn't make the difference last night. Can she make the difference tonight for the Racers?
And I think this is a different situation just because of the pitcher that you're facing, just the mentality of it. A lot of times when you're facing a veteran, somebody that you watched when you were growing up, that might affect your swings in the box. That might affect how you approach the situation. Right here, Chelsea Thomas, they're pretty close to the same age. Chelsea Thomas just a year out of college. She's one that's still trying to get used to this NPF lifestyle as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this battle's going to go down.
They're on the corners. Anything hit into the outfield would likely score the game-tying run. And again, it goes back to what you talked about. The game keys for Akron is putting the ball into play as opposed to striking out as they did last night.
Well, Barrett, after slapping in her first attempt, went back to the bunt.
Mistake here, but nobody's covering home, and Carino's going to come in to score and tie the ball game. And how about Jill Barrett? She moves up to third. That is just a lack of communication on the Pride infield, because Carino was essentially dead to rights when Myers is not able to make contact.
Exactly. Usually when you're caught in that position between home and third, that's when the infielders start to focus on you and you usually look like a dead out there. But she was able to stay in the rundown, and then once she saw Schultz vacate the plate, she knew that was going to be her only chance to move in. You could see where the squeeze was missed, and Schultz took out after her, and right there, Barrett just doesn't stop her feet. She watches the play all the way. Once Carino makes the move forward, Barrett goes full speed into third, making sure they don't go after her for a first out.
And now Myers has an opportunity to give the Racers their first lead of the ball game.
It's very rare. I don't know that I've ever seen a missed squeeze attempt work out better than probably a regular squeeze, because they had their run scored, they had the runner move up from first to third, and
they
still
get an out.
have their batter up.
Yeah.
That definitely has to be the best I've ever seen it work out.
That's how they drew it up, right?
Exactly. They must have planned it that way.
Payoff pitch. Wow. That's why I wouldn't want to pitch.
That's why I wouldn't want to pitch either. And I moved from shortstop to first base, so that was one of the biggest things I had to get used to. Right there, that's all reaction, and you can kind of tell if a pitcher's a good fielder, if she can get that glove up in time. If she doesn't, you can see right where it's going for. It's going for that jawbone. Hit really well off the bat of Myers. You can't expect any more or ask of any more off of Myers. That's a great piece of contact.
And so now it's Charlotte Morgan's opportunity. But again, credit the Racers. They've only struck out so far one time in this ball game. Of course, different situation today. This one put into play. Duran thought about going home. Instead, it's going to get the easy out. And again, putting the ball into play pays dividends as the Racers take their first lead, as they've scored 2 runs now in 3 consecutive ball games. But so far, 2 has not been enough against the Pride.
And I think that's what Duran knew. She assumed that the Pride was going to be able to score at least a second run, so she gave up that run to get an out. And that's where the experience comes from Duran. You can see how much she wanted to come get that out at the plate. But she just was responsible and got that out that they needed.
Kylie Quico beats it out. Been a little bit of a wild third inning, hasn't it?
Yeah, and you attribute it to putting the ball in play. That one was much harder than anything we've really seen today from the Racers, and it did some damage right there. Duran has some great skills, like you said, known mostly for her defense for the most part of her career. Wasn't able to handle that one. That tells you that the way that Quico got a hold of it, she's seen that ball really well. But look at that ground that Shipman covers. She's behind third base, almost making that out at first base. She is so aggressive. She knows that there's only one play around the field.
Montalvo popped up to Salvatore in foul territory, but the side retired. The Pride committing an error in the third, and it comes back to bite them as the Racers take their first lead. They're up by a run as we head to the bottom of the third.
Get ready for world-class softball, Southern style. The National Pro Fast Pitch Championship is coming to the Hoover Met Stadium in Hoover, Alabama, August 20th through the 23rd. You'll watch the best players on the planet battle it out for the championship trophy. Players like All-American and Olympians Kat Osterman and Monica Abbott. Don't miss the NPF Championship August 20th through the 23rd. Make sure you get your tickets now at npfchampionship.com.
This is our turf. Day in, day out, we show up. We are here to make an impact, to leave an undeniable mark on the game. We are power. We are performance. We are determined. Together, we are the CF7.
Well, we got a good one here from Orlando, ESPN Wide World of Sports. You can see from the line score, the Racers pushing across 2 in the top of the third, and that's the difference so far in the ball game. The Racers 2 runs on a hit, no errors. The Pride a run on 2 hits, and they've been the one that's committed an error for the first time in the ball game. But a good sign for the Pride is the fact that they've already batted around 1 time, and here in the bottom of the third, it'll be their leadoff hitter, Natasha Watley, who scored their lone run, coming to the plate for the 2nd time.
And the way that they scored their run is by getting on from a free base. But since then, Norris has really settled down, so it'll be a much different at-bat for Watley this time around, although Norris comes with the first pitch ball, and she's hoping to get that ball back on the plate.
1-1.
After such a long inning that the Racers put up there, now Norris has to jump back on the ship that she was in the 2nd inning rather than in the 1st inning. So it's really a mindset from the pitcher. And like I said, Norris is a pro at that. She has so much experience that the long innings don't faze her.
Ball and a strike on the ground. Myers has got to hurry, and she gets the speedy Watley for out number 1 here in the 3rd.
That's one thing as a shortstop, especially new to the NPF. That's one thing that you know is that when Watley and Lowe are up, you have to be at your fastest. You have to make that quick transfer. You can see that Myers didn't even take an extra step. She put her weight onto her back foot and then transferred it to make the throw across the field, and that's the only way that she's going to get Watley.
Here's Lowe, who singled her first time up. And a question for you, because Don DeDonatis, the chairman of the board of the CEO of USSSA, often credits errors on the infield that should be hits based on the fact that these infielders know that they have to hurry with the speed of the Watleys and the Lows, especially those speedsters at the top of the lineup. But how often does that really play a factor in it, do you think?
I don't know that it plays that much of a factor, and I have heard that a lot before. But no matter who's putting that ball in play, most of the time in softball, you have to be at your quickest. Whether you're getting them out by 3 steps or 1 step, you have to make that play and that transfer as quick as possible. But I have seen more errors against slappers that put the ball in play, and that might be because of that mental part of the game where they can't get a hold of it.
Shibben at the plate. Sails this one, but foul.
Right now you're looking at the part of the lineup that can tie this game with 1 swing. So you really switch from one game ideology to another just in one batter, where you have Watley and Lowe that are trying to get on base and set the table, and then girls like Shipman and Duran behind her that are trying to tie that ball game up or to win that ball game if they have someone on in front of them.
One and two. Norris trying for her first 1-2-3 inning of the ball game.
Norris right there, just losing that ball up in the zone, and she's a pitcher that's going to work down and up, and more recently to the outside part of the plate. She, with losing some of her speed, doesn't go in as much, but she really trusts her spin, as you can tell.
Got her to end the inning. Norris has settled down. She's got the lead. Racers conclude the third up by a run as Lisa Norris picks up her second strikeout of the ball game.
Since day one, Combat has been at the forefront of composite bats. Combat bats deliver on average a 15% larger sweet spot than the closest competitor. In today's game, where margins for error are small, Combat's on average 15% larger sweet spot means our bats reach maximum performance over a wider span. It's the difference between a home run or the warning track, a base hit through the middle or hitting into a double play. It's the difference between winning and losing.
Beautifully powerful doesn't just mean hitting home runs,
making diving catches,
or throwing no-hitters.
It means having confidence in your abilities,
staying composed in any situation,
and playing with passion every pitch of the game. We swing the Louisville Slugger LXT.
We are beautifully powerful.
Well, you can't beat fun at the old ballpark, and that's what the fans have been treated to a good one tonight, opposed to where we were last night at the same exact situation, and the game was essentially out of hand. Racers find themselves with a little confidence, now leading by a run, and we'll see how that may affect them as this game goes on. But you can see the pride as they huddle in the infield. Nothing but smiles, and I guess when you're leading the NPF standings by the commanding lead that they are, probably not a whole lot that's phasing at this point.
And when you're scoring at least 3, 4, 5 runs a game, and a lot of times more than that, you know that you have a lot of time left to play. You're only in the 3rd inning. So you have 4 more at-bats to try to push 1 run across. They just know that they have to be solid on the field to give their offense a shot.
Taylor Schlope walked back in the 2nd inning.
And talking to head coach Jerry Glasgow before the game, he was hoping to pull a lot of his starters in the 4th inning. And I think looking at last night's game, that might have been feasible. But here, when you're down by a run, you might see these starters playing a lot more than expected. And you don't know how that's going to affect the 2nd game of the day, whereas he was hoping to get more rest in the 1st game and then come back strong in the 2nd.
Schlope fouls this one into the stands.
So if you're the Akron Racers, you really have a shot right now to shoot down some of the plans that Jerry Glasgow had in order to sit some of his veterans and his players that are playing a lot more and give opportunities to girls on the bench.
Got her swinging. And Chelsea Thomas has her 2nd strikeout of the ball game.
Such an impressive pitch, and you can just see how that drop right there is difficult for Schlope to catch up to because her head pulls off that ball right there. If you take your head off that drop ball, it's going to drop right off the table.
Haley Uden now.
And Uden, her last time up, grounded out to shortstop Shipman. And that wasn't the hit that she was hoping for. She was forward a little bit. Her hands and her bat head were getting out away from her body a little bit. So she's hoping to stay back, drive something up the middle. After seeing a few hard and well-hit balls off of Thomas, it gives you a lot of confidence going through your lineup a 2nd time, especially if you put the ball in play last time around.
1-1 to the Racers catcher. And Uden's a player that helps you out because she can play a number of different spots on the field.
But she's been really strong behind the plate. So you like the arm that she can give you behind the plate, but then you also know because of that arm, she can play outfield for you. She can get the speed of any players that she's against. That's what's so good about having an athletic catcher.
3 balls and a strike with 1 away here in the 4th. And Thomas now with an opportunity for back-to-back strikeouts here in the 4th.
And the Pride started warming up with Jordan Taylor, possibly thinking about splitting this game, but with Thomas really starting to step up and warm up to that challenge, you might see them rethink that.
Under the glove of Shipman, and Uden has a base hit. You get to see what it takes, though, to put one by Shipman. She has so much range there at shortstop.
And that ball was pretty much up the middle, and even that, it was just hit so hard that it didn't give Shipman a lot of time to take an extra step. She had to go straight to the ground, and I think that ball might have just gotten under her because of how quick it got to there.
Thomas bunts foul.
Thomas right now, after striking out her last time up, you can tell she's trying to make an adjustment to where she's making contact with that ball. falling behind in the count. Well, she's at 1-1, but after giving up that strike, she has to stay home a little bit more. She's running out of that box a little bit too quickly, and that's not able to get the ball down in fair territory.
Lifted to center field, low backpedaling, back deep and gone. A 2-run home run for Ashley Thomas, and the Racers are on top 4-1.
Such an impressive swing. After showing bunt the pitch before, she really has to change her mentality all the way for that. She had to sit back and look for a mistake that Chelsea Thomas just left it over the plate. You can tell how excited Lisa Norris is there to have a little bit of cushion, but that ball left up in the zone. That ball was either supposed to rise or drop right back down, but it was left at the letters, and right there Thomas gets a good swing. Right there is when you're happy that you're standing in and not trying to bunt that pitch.
Yeah, I'm sure the Pride would have much rather her lay down that sacrifice bunt. Instead, the Pride are going to go to the bullpen early in this one, trailing 4-1. We'll tell you about the new Pride pitcher when we come back to ESPN Wide World of Sports.
I dream. I dream.
I dream NPF.
I dream NPF. I dream NPF.
I play USSSA. I play USSSA.
I play USSSA.
I play USSSA.
Come join all of us. Dream NPF, play USSSA.
It was a lifetime in the making.
4 years of over-the-top hard work, dedication, and sweat. Together we fought to the end and rose to the top.
A national championship is something that we dreamed about, but we knew it wasn't over. How can you hang them up when you're just getting started?
Now, here we are again, fighting for an NPF championship.
The hard work, dedication, and sweat starts all over again.
We've been to the top before, we'll be there again.
And when we got to the bigs and it was our show, we knew there's no other equipment that we choose.
Olivia Galati is in relief of Chelsea Thomas, who threw just 3 1/3 innings.
Well, the Pride warming up 2 pitchers. They had the option of Jordan Taylor and Galati, but they're going with Galati, and that's what the spin that she's going to put on the ball. She's pitched 25 1/3 innings this season. She has 11 strikeouts, so she's showing that she's not having that strikeout pitch, but her ERA is under 1, so pretty impressive for Galati having to come in this situation. She has to be able to get on top of batters. Chelsea Thomas just got into trouble when she left that ball up in the zone. Galati's going to have to spin that ball if she's going to use any type of rise ball.
Well, and Galati finds herself in a situation of a roster that is just packed with pitching power, if you will, and that has really made, some things a struggle, because obviously you take a look at the Lions, and Kat Osterman has the bulk of the innings. It's 70 innings on the season, but after that it's pretty spread out, with Blair Luna getting the fewest at just 17 2/3. But Galati right there at 25 innings so far, as we see this one hit into center field. And how about the maneuverability for the center fielder, Caitlin Lowe? She hasn't lost a step, has she?
No, I assumed she was going to have to leave her feet for that ball, but she'd got that extra boost right at the end, took that quick 2 steps, but she never stopped her feet. She never had to judge that ball. She knew exactly where her range could get her, and you could just tell she, like you said, hasn't lost a step from when she was in college.
Jill Barrett at the plate.
But Galati, like you said, having to fight for some innings. Kat Osterman with 70 innings on the season, and righteously so. The next one behind her is Kehlani Ricketts at 30 innings, and then everyone kind of trickles down after that. So it's really a fight to see who can come in and win a starting role, because I think you have the select starters. That Kehlani Ricketts is a starter. You have Kat Osterman, Chelsea Thomas. Now everyone's fighting for that 4th game of a series.
And we're told that Kehlani Ricketts will be the Game 4 starter in this one. And right now it's really trying to find the maneuvers as you see this one go foul as Duran will watch it roll over the baseline. But the goal is really to be, obviously Kat Osterman in the NPF Championship Series is going to be the one that's going to start against the opposition if they get, obviously, to the best of 3 to win it. But it's not likely that Osterman is going to pitch in all 3 of those games if they're potentially there. So who is going to be that number 2? Who's going to come in to get the big innings? And that's what everybody's really fighting for now as we head towards August.
Exactly, and the fight is all season long, but where it comes down to it is how you're pitching at the end of season. So right before the championship series, they're going to look at who's been most successful, who has the numbers against an opponent, whether it's specifically the Racers or specifically the Bandits. Whoever has success against the team that they're playing is going to get the shot.
Osterman's on the bucket tonight. This one chopped to CO, got her just by a footstep. That retires the side. But the big hit by Ashley Thomas has given the Akron Racers their biggest advantage of the series so far. They're up by 3 as we head to the bottom of the 4th here at ESPN's Wide World of Sports.
I'm here with Pride head coach Jerry Glasgow. Now, Jerry, you find yourself trailing in this one. What adjustments do your hitters need to make to rattle Lisa Norris?
Well, you just do the same thing we always do. We need to be patient, look for a good pitch, get a runner on. We need to get one run back here and then make a run later in the game. So right now, it's important to just get the momentum back in our dugout by getting one run.
Now, with the momentum change, you made the early call to the bullpen to bring in Galati. What change does she bring to this game?
Well, she'll mix up a changeup, a little more rise ball, touches a little more drop ball, so it's kind of a contrast in style, but mainly just trying to get momentum back in our side.
All right, thank you, Coach. Back to you
He's
guys.
had boatloads of momentum so far this series.
I can't really think of a time that they've trailed.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a different fight for them.
Well, they've trailed early in the ball game against the Racers in the first 2 games, but obviously when you're down a run or 2 in the first or second inning, it's a completely different situation than when you're down by 3 runs here in the bottom of the 4th, and this is their biggest deficit so far this series. And again, you take a look at how this lines up. You know, a doubleheader day, if Akron can take the first of the 2 games, Racers might be able to take 2, and at the end of the day, splitting the series with the number 1 team in the NPF, not a bad outcome if you're a Racers fan.
Yeah, you talk about momentum, and Jerry Glasgow is hoping they can get momentum on their side offensively, but the Racers are looking to gain momentum just for their day. They want to gain momentum from the first game to carry it into the second game, so they're still hoping to carry on and keep up that energy.
Carino on the run, gets Duran, who lines essentially out to right field. As DeSalvatore checks in the box, she flew out to Schlopey back in the second inning. Went out here in the 4th to right field. Carino is going to make the first 2 outs on 2 pitches. And not a bad start if you're Lisa Norris. You throw 2 pitches and you have 2 outs.
This is exactly what you're hoping for if you're Lisa Norris in the circle, and the exact opposite if you're a Pride offensive player. You want Lisa Norris to throw a lot of pitches. She has experience, but she also has a lot of injuries that they're concerned with at some points in the game. Right now, the better that she looks, the longer she's going to stay in that game. Carino making 2 back-to-back plays. She covers a lot of ground and makes sure she makes the catch, not trying to do anything too fancy.
Kelly Crutchman now.
Well, it's quite obvious that Lisa Norris deals a lot with momentum. When she's ahead, when she has that lead, so much comfort. The Racers only have 1 win against the USSSA Pride this season. It was 6-4, and Akron was the home team, and that was really the biggest difference. Akron was able to come back and score in the 4th 5th and 6th inning, not needing to play a 7th, which I think is a little rare for the USSSA Pride.
Yeah.
Not having to play that 7th inning when they're the visiting team. So right now, as the home team, they have a little bit of that luxury that they know that bottom of the 7th, they're a very good team with their back against the wall.
Full count, 3-2. And Kretschmann will draw a 2-out walk.
You can just see how much faith that Lisa Norris has in that off-speed pitch. That ball floated a little bit up too much, but she'll throw that in any count, and that's why as a hitter it's really difficult to predict and to stay on top of, because she is going to go and change speeds on you at any point you're at bat.
Pride are going to bring speed on board as Brigette Washington is going to come in and pinch run at first in the place of Kelly Kretschmann, and that's probably the biggest difference in this lineup. The way the Pride looks this year is they have so much speed that can come off the bench.
Well, their goal for the Pride this season was to break the record for NPF in the amount of steals, and Washington and Sharona McDonald, they've been a big part of that, especially coming in as pinch runners. That's their role, and they've really taken it to the extreme, being aggressive on the base path.
Sandberg at the plate as the Pride try to start a 2-out rally here in the bottom of the 4th.
Between Brigette Washington and Sharona McDonald, they have 19 stolen bases out of the 49 total team stolen bases. So that tells you that they're aggressive, especially when they need to get into scoring position, 2 outs. They might want Sandberg to come back and start off an inning.
And look at that. Washington, opportunistic. I think she just caught the racers napping, and she moves up not just 1 but 2 bags.
Well, when pinch running has become a big part of your job, you know how to read that situation really well. You know who's paying attention. Is the pitcher looking you back every time? She makes sure that Lisa Norris has that ball, because a catcher throwing that ball is a little bit more accurate. Right there, Norris did not have her feet set in the right position to make a throw to second base. It's almost better as a pitcher to just hold on to that ball, even if you see the runner on the move.
Bottom of the lineup, first base is open, and Sandberg is dangerous. She certainly has the ability to make this one a 1-run ball game. Norris fires a strike, and the count is full.
This is so far the first time that Sandberg's really gotten a chance to hit and to see some pitches, because she was hit by a pitch early in her at-bat last time.
This one sailing to Schlope in center. Washington stranded at third. As we move on to the 5th inning, the Racers up by 3.
I dream. I dream. I dream NPF.
I dream NPF.
I dream NPF.
I play USSSA.
I play USSSA. I play USSSA. I play USSSA. Come join all of us. Dream NPF, play USSSA.
Most revolutionary thing to happen to sports since the invention of the net. BowNet. Play anywhere, play now. With over 45 styles to choose from in all sports, BowNet is durable, portable, and simple. It sets up in just 60 seconds. See how BowNet's revolutionary patent design has made it the fastest growing supplier of sports nets in the industry. Visit bownet.net to see the complete lineup.
Well, they're testing all sorts of skills. How would you be at this hula hoop contest?
I don't know, with the tall one in the middle, it kind of throws things off. I think it's a tough challenge. I've had to do it before.
Yeah.
It's a lot of teamwork.
It's all about the lineup. You got to really make that lineup right. As you see, the good news tonight, no dark clouds, at least so far, which is good for us because we got 2 games tonight on USSSALive.com. So we can ill afford to have, 80 minutes of delay like we did last night.
Yeah, and actually before the game, they were telling everybody to get under the stands to protect themselves from inclement weather. And it turned out to be a pretty nice night so far. So like you said, 2 games to play, so you don't want to jinx it in Florida.
Olivia Galati is in relief of Chelsea Thomas. 2-run home run by Ashley Thomas has given the Racers a 3-run advantage here in the 5th. It's Narissa Myers leading things off. Myers, Morgan, and Quico to up for the Racers.
Coming up to that bulk of the lineup right there, you really have to be careful with where you're hitting your spot on the plate. I really like what Coach Glasgow said about switching these pitchers up and why he did it, because they're 2 very different pitchers. Chelsea Thomas throws a lot of drop balls. She also mixes in a changeup. Galati is more of the opposite. She goes with the rise ball, has a lot of spin, but will also incorporate that off-speed pitch as well.
The Pride have been held to just 2 hits so far tonight. The Racers have 5 hits, but Myers 0 for 2. And they've really done a great job of keeping Narissa Myers at bay. And I would assume that's probably one of the big storylines going into a series against Akron is if you can keep Narissa Myers off the base paths, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, she really is one of the leaders of this lineup. After Barrett, who's going to set the table, Myers really is able to set the tone for the Racers. And she's been able to get good at bats, pin the ball up the middle, and there she goes again. In her last at bat, she lined right out to Chelsea Thomas, basically at her face. Keeping that same mentality, you don't let one at bat where your hit doesn't work out change your game plan. She stays right back up the middle and is able to start off a good inning for the Racers.
Yeah, essentially the same shot that we saw her hit back in the 3rd. Galati's just not tall enough.
Yeah, I think she's probably lucky that that ball didn't go at her face.
So Myers makes the adjustment, and she's aboard here in the 5th. I'd like to say hello to Eric Lopez, who's in the house tonight watching the ball game. I know he had a great time working with you last night.
Yeah, you can tell that there is a lot of the love for the Pride around here. When you get to announce the games, you just can't keep away from the park.
Morgan into right. That really should go as the 2nd error of the night. We'll see how that's officially scored. The Pride are without their A scorekeeper, Matt O'Hara, and earlier, at least on Game Changer, for some reason, they have Carino reaching on a hit as opposed to an error. Not sure whether the glasses need to be cleaned.
Yeah, that one I think would be counted as an error as well. And a little unfortunate, really getting your shot out there in right field. You can see where Morgan gets that on the bat to give it a really difficult spin. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough play for Washington to make. It's not a routine play at all. She tries to get down close to the line. I would give Morgan a hit on that one, especially with the range that Washington had. She knows personally that ball should have been caught, but was it a routine play? Absolutely not.
So you'd flip-flop it. You'd give Morgan the hit there and Carino the error.
Yeah, without a doubt, to me, that ball hit toCio earlier was in the glove.
Jennifer Gilbert at the plate. Popped up. Washington hovers under it and makes the play for out number 1.
You can just see the knowledge of Washington, where Myers looked like she was going to tag up. She didn't get a lead. She went right back to the bag once that ball was in the air. But as you see Washington start to sneak in a little bit, that's when you know you're not going to be able to tag up on that. That was hit well, just got the wrong half of the ball. A little bit too much under it. Washington comes out here and fires right to second base, knowing that Myers isn't tagging up.
Here's Kelly Montalvo. Swing. Galati goes to third, and Duran nearly had a chance to make a double play there. But Montalvo just moves too quick.
Well, that's one thing about Montalvo that's different than a lot of players, whereas a player that doesn't hit the ball well might not run as hard, might feel a little bit sorry for herself, but Montalvo, once she hits that ball, she knows that there's going to be an out somewhere on the field. She doesn't want it to be hers. So there is a great play by Galati knowing where to go, and a good play by Duran knowing that she doesn't have to force an out here.
Taylor Schlope popped up, and that's probably one of the biggest differences here at this ballpark compared to years past, is in the past they've built a temporary fence as a backstop behind the catchers, and right now there's just loads and loads of space to run down and try to track foul balls.
Yeah, and you have to have an athletic catcher to be able to get to that point. You can kind of see Schultz was fighting with the umpire, but that's where you really have to see the athleticism kick in. Where can they read? How can they read that ball? Where can they get to? And Schultz was pretty close, but it was going to be a tough play all the way.
It looks like they did officially score Charlotte Morgan singling on the game changer app. So we got to go back and see where, in fact, that error is, as we see this one turning down the line, but foul. It should be Ayumi Carino back in the third inning.
Well, the error right now is on the Pride, and I believe that's on the throw that Norris threw down to second.
Ground ball. They throw it over to first, inning over. 4-1. Racers on top.
This is our turf. Day in, day out, we show up. We are here to make an impact, to leave an undeniable mark on the game. We are power. We are performance. We are determined. Together, we are the CF7.
We welcome you back. Head coach Jerry Glasgow yelled into the dugout saying, players, enjoy this feeling. Enjoy the feeling of being down, because it's a feeling they don't feel very often. He says it's just one swing, one run, and we'll get the momentum back on their side. But it's a message that they don't hear too often, and I think this team is really taking it to heart because they've been all dialed in, talking to one another on how they can get the momentum back onto their side.
Well, and that's probably the biggest difference maker. You know, maybe enjoy the feeling of being down, not what you'd normally hear, but you know, when you get to that championship series, it's probably pretty unlikely that you're going to have a wire-to-wire win, especially in the semifinal leading up to the championship series, and of course in the championship series itself. So you got to learn to come from behind at some point, and so an opportunity for the Pride here in the bottom of the fifth inning is Alexa Peterson leads things off.
Exactly. When you're coming toward the close of your season, you're going to have teams like the Racers who have played down for a lot of their season, know how to come back, and that's really a skill and kind of a gift if you know how to do that, play with your backs against the wall. And the Pride did that against Chicago, but they were down one run, and it was still a close game the whole time. Can they come back from 3 runs? They're going to have to do it as a team. They can't look to hit home run after home run after home run. They have to look to get runners on base to get their base hits, to get their hard hits, to see if they can ruin a little bit of that Norris flow that's going on in the circle.
Peterson down the line, and it goes foul. Alexa Peterson, she's been quite a spark for the Pride this season, and another one of those players is just trying to continually earn more and more at bats, and I think that's what she did last night in the ball game.
Yeah, getting a start, going 3 for 4, really impressive, and that's why she's going to get more opportunities. That's how you get more opportunities, by making the most of when you get your start or when you get your pinch hit opportunity. A lot of players look at it as I don't get a lot of opportunities, so when I get the one, I'll just see how it goes. She took advantage of it, and that's why she's getting time when the Pride need base hits and runs the most.
2-2. Down on strikes. Peterson's retired for out number 1 here in the 5th.
Well, it's a different scenario when you're facing a pitcher like Norris. She is the veteran of this team. She has the most confidence, and when she has confidence, she has the most movement that you'll ever see. So with that 3-run cushion, she's just right on the money, going at hitters on the inside part of the plate, which you don't see as much out of Norris. Typically, she stays on the outside part of the plate and then uses the up and down parts of the zone.
Courtney Seo here in the bottom of the 5th inning. She struck out in her first plate appearance, one of 3 strikeouts in the ball game for Lisa Norris. Ground ball, and not a hitter, a bunter, as she tells me, beats it out.
And that's exactly what she's going to show you there. And that's what's great about Seo, is that she can surprise you. When she's known for her bunter, she even thinks of herself as a bunter short game player. You still don't know what she's going to do. She wasn't moving her feet to slap. She really just stood in, gave herself a sacrifice chance, and she used her speed to beat it out.
Up and inside to Natasha Watley.
That was the first hitter in the last 11 hitters that hit their way on base. There have been base runners by a walk and hit by a pitch, but it's been 11 batters since the second inning that they've had a hit.
Good play there by Ashley Thomas to come over and cover the bag and retire Watley. And you know, with a player like Natasha Watley, every moment critical. That one scored 3-4 in the book for out number 2. Seo moves to second into scoring position.
It's so difficult to play Watley, especially when that ball's hit to that right side of the field. You always have to have somebody covering, and it happens so quickly that you really can't communicate during the play. You have to make sure you know where you're covering before that play actually happens. So you can see how high that ball is chopped. Quico has to come get that. That means Thomas has to get over to that base in time. That's just a big enough challenge in itself.
Now they'll try to do the same with low, and that time they can't convert. Quico tried to dive at Caitlin Lowe, but that one held up just enough to show you that the speed too much for Caitlin Lowe. They're on the corners with 2 away.
It was pretty much the same exact play as Watley, the at-bat before. This time, Quico didn't think she had the time to get that toss over to Thomas at the bag, so she went for the diving play. I was surprised that Seo didn't actually take home on that one, because Quico was pretty much on the ground, and then showing the umpire she had the ball in her glove. I believe that Quico missed the tag. She sold it well, but I think that with a runner rounding third base, you have to pay attention to other parts of the field.
And now it's amazing how quick the scenario changes as Madison Shipman comes to the plate with an opportunity to tie it with 1 swing of the bat.
With Norris going and getting the first out of the inning, things look like they're going pretty smoothly, but it's really difficult when you have to go in and face this top of the lineup once you roll the lineup over. That's what the Pride does, is they get a lot of at-bats against a pitcher, and then by the end of the game, they know exactly what she's going to throw to them.
1-1 to Shipman. Popped up, but into the stands.
Shipman had a really good at-bat in her first at-bat. She had a line drive to the center fielder Slopey, who read the ball really well, but in her last at-bat, she struck out on an off-speed pitch. Norris now ahead with 2 strikes. Probably going to go to that change in speed very soon, especially after seeing how Shipman wasn't able to adjust to it last time.
1-2, popped up, and again out of play.
Shipman's going to have to do a lot of work in order to get back into this at-bat. With Norris ahead, she has the luxury of going off the plate, which we've seen earlier in the game. Norris has no problem doing. She has no problem going off the plate, seeing if you will chase as a batter, but she can also throw a strike. So Shipman's going to have to keep her hands short and quick, not get too long, and start guessing at which pitch is coming next.
It's outside, 2-2. Hammered but foul.
And you really haven't seen that change in speed. Norris, the pitch before that one, almost went with a drop curve off speed pitch. And when you can throw a pitch that you don't see from a lot of other pitchers, that's going to be a big advantage. That one was just too much off the plate. And when she came back inside, Shipman just showed how quick her hands could be through the zone.
That one gets by Uden. And in comes Sio to make it 4-2.
You can see what these backstops do for this game. Looks like they're actually going to send Lowe back to second base. But with the big backstops, there's no opportunity to get a play at the plate on a pass ball, and the runners on the bases can just run for days. Uden just isn't able to get in front of that. She's angled sideways, so once that ball hits the dirt, it bounces right over her leg. Really nothing you can do. Once that ball hit the bump, it just hopped right over her.
Payoff pitch, popped up. Barrett waits for it, makes the play, inning over. Lowe left stranded at second, but the bunt single by Courtney Sio helps the Pride push across their second run of the contest. We move on to the 6th here on the 1-2. It's the Racers up by 2.
In the nation, we reward safe driving. Add Vanishing Deductible from Nationwide Insurance and get $100 off every year of safe driving, which means you could save a lot of Benjamins. We put members first because we don't have shareholders. Join the nation.
Nationwide is on your side.
USSSA members, you could save money on your auto insurance. Call a local Nationwide agent or 1-866-633-5747.
Get ready for world-class softball, Southern style. The National Pro Fast Pitch Championship is coming to the Hoover Met Stadium in Hoover, Alabama, August 20th through the 23rd. You'll watch the best players on the planet battle it out for the championship trophy. Players like All-American and Olympians Kat Osterman and Monica Abbott. Don't miss the NPF Championship August 20th through the 23rd. Make sure you get your tickets now at npfchampionship.com.
Jordan Taylor in to throw here at ESPN Wild Motorsports, the spring training home of the Atlanta Braves and the summer home to the USSSA Florida Pride for 2 weeks. The final 4 games that are home games for the Pride are going to be played at Osceola County Stadium. That's the spring training home of the Houston Astros. Into the ball game here on the 6th. Jordan Taylor just trying to give the Pride an opportunity. Her goal, obviously, to keep the deficit only at 2, and hopes that the Pride can push across 2 more runs. They have 6 outs remaining.
Well, Jordan Taylor is another pitcher that provides that variety that the Pride is looking for. She can throw to all corners at the plate. She can throw up, she can throw down, and she also has enough speed. So she throws a lot of different pitches. She's going to mix up the look, and they're hoping to catch or keep Akron racers on their toes, not sitting on a certain pitch for a certain pitcher. They're going to show them a lot of different styles out here, and third pitcher of the game, trying to keep, like I said, this game close.
Haley Uden will lead off here in the 6th. Officially, that was scored a wild pitch. So obviously it doesn't go against her, but I'm sure she'd love to try to get back that one run as the Racers look for their first win in this 4-game series.
It's always nice when once you give up a run, you can come right back up to bat with that fresh in your memory, looking to get that run back personally. And a lot of hitting pitchers like that aspect of it, is that they can come right back and make that impact.
Uden single back in the 4th, and she was brought in on the 2-run home run by Ashley Thomas.
Well, in her last at bat with the single up the middle, you can just tell that she's using all parts of the field. She grounded out to the shortstop, then worked up the middle. When you're able to hit up the middle or to the opposite field, that's when you know that you're seeing that ball well. Your hands are working, and you're not relying on that bat head to direct where that ball's going.
1-2 to Haley Uden here in the 6th. Jordan Taylor trying to get her first strikeout in relief. That one races off the outside corner of the plate. By the way, Kristen Sandberg is in to catch. And I really like her helmet. Little stars and stripes action.
It's very patriotic.
With the USSSA logo across.
And they're all decked out. That is a pretty impressive helmet.
One away. Jordan Taylor's got a strikeout to start her relief appearance.
Well, what a good start. We talked about it earlier, looking to find a spot in that starting lineup, and she goes with that spin that looks like it changes speed and then drifts to that outside part of the plate. Uden just isn't able to stay back. She's reaching for a pitch that's a ball all the way.
Ashley Thomas, what a cut she had her last time up. The 2-run home run, the difference maker in the ball game. Bunts, but bunts foul, and that's the difference. She bunted foul, and then the next pitch she swings away, and this is what she does.
Look at that swing, that uppercut swing. When that ball is left up in the zone, that's the only place for it to go. She swings so hard, but like you said, she can go from playing small ball to just taking big hacks. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her standing in again.
And behind 0-2 here. Takes the cut, fouled into the stands, and the count remains 0-2.
But she moves her feet to go for the slap. And that's what's so impressive, is when a hitter is a triple threat. They can bunt, they can slap, they can hit for power. You really don't know how to field her. The middle infield stays back where the corners have to creep in a little bit.
0-2. Slow roller, Duran has her for out number 2.
Thomas gave Duran a little bit of a gift on that one. It was in between soft and hard. So it was really the easiest play that Duran could see, because that ball stayed on the ground the whole time. No crazy hops, no big challenge there. As long as she could make a good throw over, Thomas really didn't put the pressure she was hoping to on Duran.
Ayumi Carino at the plate. Depending on your point of view, she's either 1 for 2 or 0 for 2. We've got her at 0 for 2. She reached on an error back in the 3rd and came across to score the first run of the ball game for the Akron Racers.
And that's really the most important thing. To her, it doesn't matter if she's 1 for 2 or 0 for 2, but she was that run to get them on the board to tie that game up. So that's what should be looked at, is her on-base percentage. She's trying to find her way on, because with the top of the lineup coming behind her, she has to make sure that she can move up bases and use her speed.
2-1.
You can just tell how calm Carino is in the box. Her hands aren't moving forward on a pitch that's clearly out of the zone. She can sit back and just let her hands fire rather than having to guess. See, they didn't even move on that pitch. That's when, personally as a hitter, I knew that I was seeing a pitcher really well, was when I didn't have to move my hands forward to where I caught myself leaning and then had to hold up. She sees that ball, she tracks that ball. That way her hands move when she wants them to.
Payoff pitch. CO to DeSalvatore, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in relief for Jordan Taylor. Pride are down to their final 6 outs in the ball game. They trail it 4-2. Before we go to break, let's check in once again with the third member of our team, Krista Bedard.
Well, Bernie, you pointed out Sandberg's catching helmet. Now, 3 weeks ago, her and Head Wraps worked together to come up with this custom decaling of her helmet. It's a mix of the stars and stripes. It's got the USSSA logo. It's got the Pride logo, and of course, her number 23. She said it was something that she wanted to stand out and have this really awesome helmet. It shows a little team pride and also shows a little bit of her creativity, but it was definitely a design that she kind of came up with and then Head Wraps put together for her.
And that's, Megan, what you really missed out on, not playing catcher.
I know, I would have put glitter all over my helmet.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't let me use it. But yeah, you get to show a little bit of creativity when there's not as much of that in a sport, when you have to look the same. That's pretty much actually a rule in college and in the NPF, is that everybody has to wear the same visor, everybody has to wear the same uniform. Well, clearly. But it's fun that there's a part in the game where you can design something on your own. I really never got to do that in any aspect with a sponsor.
Well, that's where you see players like Ashley Charters. You know, she came up with the glitter bands. Just something to add a little bit of creativity out there on the field. And all these players want to have something unique. You know, you play with Francesca Nash. She was always known for the big bows.
Yeah, those were some of our favorites, is that you make yourself different by the only thing that you can. And at the University of Florida, we had a little bit of the strictness on what we were wearing, on how thick our headbands were, but he didn't stop us from expressing our creativity. We actually made our own bows, and we could decide how big or little they were, and we just went with the bigger the better.
2 balls and no strikes to Andrew Duran. 4, 5, and 6 for the Pride here in the 6th. They're down to their final 6 outs against Elisa Norris and the Akron Racers, who lead by 2.
Well, after the Pride having a pretty significant inning, getting a run back after a few innings, it was important for Norris to separate that lineup. She didn't want to put Lowe, Shipman, and Duran together. Duran has to lead off the inning. That way, you're not having that threat bulk together in one inning. So Duran really has to get it started by just finding her way on base, which is something she's done time after time, but she's been known more for power a little bit more and getting those extra base hits. She has to keep it simple and work toward the middle of the field.
Well, it's a rare night that Duran checks into the box 0 for 2. And he can make her 0 for 3 on the flyout to Joe Barrett. 3 flyouts in the ball game. And there's one away here in the 6th, as Duran is retired for the 3rd time.
Well, Duran so far in this game has hit twice to right field and now once to left field. This is where you see you're going to hit your best when you work toward the middle. She hasn't found that yet, and I bet she's hoping to get another opportunity in this game if the Pride can hit around.
DeSalvatore lines to Myers. 2 outs.
After having to throw quite a few pitches to Duran, she makes a quick out of DeSalvatore, and that's going to be huge for Norris, especially when she most likely plans to throw in the 7th inning. She knows that the more opportunities that Pride gets, the better that they get. So the less pitches she has to throw, the less she shows after 6 or 7 innings.
Well, the one bright spot of the lineup, tonight for sure has been Kelly Crutchman. She's reached base twice, single back in the second, walked in the fourth.
There's just so much familiarity here. Both have been in the NPF for quite a few years, and they face each other a lot every single year. And so sometimes Norris will win, but right now, Crutchman's winning every single batter. Norris knows that, so she's looking to come up here and see if she can get that 1, 2, 3 inning.
1-1 with 2 away.
Such a great spot to throw an off-speed pitch. You know that Norris is going to go to an off-speed pitch with 2 strikes at some point, but you don't know if she's going to go with her hard stuff or her off-speed when the count's even. And right there, she takes that chance on the outside part of the plate.
Norris is looking for her 4th strikeout in this ball game. Two and two.
I think that's a good pitch as well for Norris. When I said she didn't go too often on the inside part of the plate, she's shown that a little bit more, that she's not afraid to go in on the hands. And that outside pitch, which right now to Crutchman is that either screwball or drop ball, isn't hitting the plate, whereas the inside pitch could be called for a strike.
A tapper to third. Montalvo over to first. And a former Crimson Tide player retires a former Crimson Tide player to end the 6th. The Racers carry the lead into the final inning for the first time in this series. They're up by 2 as we head to the 7th.
When my husband Tom was diagnosed with cancer, it was a scary time for us. A lot of the cancer treatment left my husband feeling tired and weak. But the physical therapy that Tom received at Florida Hospital really helped us through that tough time. I was relieved to find that the exercise with a therapist actually gave him more energy. He seemed more like himself. And we have Florida Hospital sports medicine and rehabilitation to thank.
Ask your doctor if sports medicine and rehabilitation is right for you.
Hello, baseball fans. My name is Dylan Bundy, Major League pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. Growing up, I played USSSA baseball, and that was the start of my youth career. Now I am a proud member of the All-American team. Playing in the All-American Showcase will allow you to be the next All-American.
Are you the next All-American? Come showcase your skills in front of our professional scouting staff who will create for you a personalized player profile. Go to USSSAallamerican.com today to find out how our evaluation process can help prepare you to play at the next level.
Well, there is that signature helmet. Kristen Sandberg remains behind home plate. Jordan Taylor in the circle. The Racers leading by 2 here in the 7th. Turned out to be a pretty magnificent night here in Central Florida. And, you know, I talked to Lisa Norris before the ball game, and I should say yesterday, and she told me she would be throwing in the hot game, but the good news is because of the rain and the clouds, temperature's not so bad to play tonight. Of course, we're up here in the air conditioning. We're not on the field.
I was going to say, it's a great day up here. So on the field, though, she's pitched in some hot weather, especially in Chicago. I can't think of a hotter game that I've played than on the field there. So playing in Akron, you match up with Chicago a lot because they're so close in proximity, so she knows what it's like. But of course, as the veteran, a lot of times you call which game you want, and nobody really wants the hot game. They want the
How come she got the short stick as the veteran?
Well, I think that they wanted to get that win and wanted to get a win under their belts. They didn't want to fall behind 3 games in the series and then have to force their way to get the 4th win, the 4th game as a win.
Well, the question is, you know, back in college, throwing in 2 games, a bit of the norm, but do you see Lisa Norris being a factor in the 2nd game of the doubleheader today, potentially?
I could possibly see her coming in to be a reliever, but as a starter, I wouldn't expect that she would continue the game. She has had to deal with a lot, whether it's injuries in her arm or her feet. She is just a player that can give you everything that she's got, and then after that, you can't push her anymore. She's got to rest, and I would think that you would see somebody else in game 2, maybe Rachel Fico. I think that it would be very unlikely to see Norris pitch another game, especially after getting a win for the Racers.
Barrett strikes out. And how about this relief appearance by Jordan Taylor? She's retired the first 4 racers she's seen. Here's Myers. She's singled back in the 5th. Remember, she hit the ball just about as hard as she possibly could back to Chelsea Thomas in the 3rd.
And getting Barrett to strike out, that's really impressive, especially because Barrett has been up 3 times before that and been able to put the ball in play in every single at bat.
Well, Myers is consistent. She's hit it back up the middle in 3 consecutive at-bats, but that was the weakest appearance of the night. And maybe your answer for game number 2 is moving over into the bullpen. As you take a look down the line, Rachel Fico, number 37, starting to move in. I wouldn't assume at this point that she's moving in there to warm up to close out the bottom of the 7th, more likely trying to get ready for the 2nd game of the doubleheader.
Exactly. I would think the same thing as well. I would keep Norris in there because she is a pitcher that can close out a game. She's done it before, even when she hasn't had the lead. So I think the luxury of the lead is going to make it easier for Norris to come in again. Fico, though, a great option, has the sole win against the USSSA Pride this season unless the Racers can hold on to this game.
Well, they need 3 more outs here. And then, of course, we talked about the momentum. You have Fico, who certainly can provide the type of pitching you need to win that game, going in the 2nd game of the doubleheader. It was scheduled for 8 o'clock Eastern, so about 45 some odd minutes from now.
And they really didn't look like they were in a hurry to get out there. They kind of just walked their way out there knowing that they have a ton of time to get ready. I would say if Norris were to get into trouble, you may or may not see her. They might bring in somebody else to come get some outs, but the most reliable would be Fico or Campbell behind Norris.
Well, Jordan Taylor was cruising until she faced Charlotte Morgan, and she's thrown 3 consecutive balls to start this at bat.
Well, that's going to be something that Charlotte Morgan sees a lot. Jordan Taylor going up in the zone, and that's a good pitch. The pitch right at the letters, but when you're in a 3-0 count and you throw a low rise, you know that they're not trying to give Morgan anything good to hit. So they're going to force Quico to come up right now with something big, because Morgan, they didn't want to give up that big hit.
Well, they're going to bring on a pinch runner for Charlotte Morgan. Here's Kylie Quico.
Kylie Quico so far in the game has singled, but then also popped the ball up twice, once to second base, once to right field. So that's where you know she's dipping under that ball a little bit too much, not getting her bat head level and extended, and whether it's on the outside part of the plate or not.
And it's Olivia Watkins coming in to pinch run at first as the Racers look to add some speed. But with Quico, your cleanup hitter at the plate, obviously, I'm not sure that you're thinking about stealing any extra bases, or what do you think about that idea?
I think it's possible to put the ball in play or swing to protect, but Quico was hit for in her last at-bat. So when I said she flew out to right field, that was actually Gilbert who hit for her. So after taking a bat off, you might see her moving.
Watkins on her way to second, got her. The throw for Sandberg, a bullet down to second. And Watkins is retired. As we head to the bottom of the 7th, the Pride are down to their final 3 outs, trying to chase 2. Racers looking for their first win in this 4-game series, up 4-2.
How was your play date? It was quite the day. Tell me about it. First, I raced around a track, and then I finished my day off with a little run. That's nothing. Today, I climbed the mountain and got my hearing tested. Then I worked on my linguistics. I love pediatric rehabilitation. Me too. Parents, ask your doctor if your child will benefit from pediatric rehabilitation. I know I did.
Live your life to the fittest, because this year, Florida Hospital Sports Medicine and Rehab will help you feel young and healthy again. Ask your doctor or call now to discover if physical therapy is right for you. Results may include, but are not limited to, increased mobility, flexibility, and a greater quality of life. Ask your doctor for a referral to Florida Hospital Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation, and really go for it this year.
Well, they're having a lot of fun here tonight at ESPN Wide World of Sports. Some future pro players watching a gem of an outing tonight for Lisa Norris, who's in for the complete game win. And whether they're young or old, they're dancing.
They're just loving this. You like to see the environment that they can bring, and when young girls get to come out and watch a game like this, a game where it's tight, where a team's going to have to fight to the finish, and it's just a good game for softball, a good preview to girls that get to come watch this, because I never got to see this when I was growing up, and had I been able to, you know, that, I mean, the drive was always there, but maybe there was something more to play for past college, when right now girls are aiming for college and not really realizing that you can play for as long as your body lets you.
It's 7, 8, and 9 due up for the Pride as they're down to their final 3 outs, make it 2 outs. How about the reach for Kelly Montalvo? She may be the littlest on the field, or shortest, if you will, but she makes a huge impact.
Yeah, she plays the biggest. She's 4'11", but she gets up to get that ball. So impressive how athletic she is. She jumps at the right time. Myers behind her, I thought, was going to have to make that play, but Montalvo steals that right from her, and that's what she does. That's why she's still over there at third base. She's solid over there, and you couldn't imagine moving her because of the plays that she can make when the game's on the line.
Amanda Kamikona. Montalvo said, hey, 2 pitches almost made it 2 outs.
I think Montalvo could have made that play, but she knew that if she were to touch that ball, it's possible that that ball, you know, gets in fair territory and makes it down the line. So she holds her glove out there and resists the temptation to actually make that diving play.
Pride down to their final 2 outs as Norris looks for the win against USSSA Pride. 0-2 to Kamikona.
This is the part of the lineup that Norris was hoping to see in the 7th inning. Not that it's an easy part of the lineup, but you really don't want to have to circle back around and face Watley and Lowe after what they were able to do in their last at-bat. So Kamikona wants to extend this inning, extend this at-bat, and see if she can get Watley to show up after CO.
Base hit to center. Schlope tracks it down at the wall, and Kamikona is going to try to take 2, and she does. A double, and that'll bring the tying run to the plate.
So impressive right there. That swing was just so smooth. On the outside part of the plate, she got her hands to the ball and then drove that ball opposite field. Again, when you can use all sides of the field, you can really do some damage. And I think that Schlope might have taken a bad angle at that, first running at it thinking she could cut it off and then having to run to that fence. Kamikona with some good speed knew she was going 2 all the way. What that does now is it takes a runner out of that force play. So now any ball in the infield could pretty much move up Kamikona to third base.
Here's Cornicio. She scored 1 on the 2 runs tonight that the Pride have pushed across. Kamikona in scoring position at second after that one-out double. It's 1-1.
You can just see Montalvo. She's about 3 feet away from CO after that ball's in the glove. Taking on a big risk, especially when CO has recently been standing in a little bit more. But after her bunt single in her last at-bat, Montalvo is ready for anything that stays in front of her.
2 balls and 1 strike.
Now the middle infield is playing a little bit further back behind the baseline. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for Kamikona to move up on anything hit to the left side. So CO really looking to use the middle of the field to the right side.
Bunt laid down. Montalvo fielded. I'm not sure whether she should have fielded it, because that one might have had the English to spin it foul.
That's how aggressive Montalvo is. That ball was actually headed toward Quico, but when you're playing on that dirt infield, you never know how it's going to play. Being aggressive, she picked it up, tried to make that fake throw to first base to see if she could catch Kamikona trying to be aggressive, taking home plate. But Kamikona wasn't really looking up at that time, so she really didn't make that mistake, was able to stay right around third base. Montalvo was ready. She just couldn't get that ball out of the glove quick enough. Just so much credit to CO for her speed.
The Pride are in prime position. Top of the lineup, 1 out, trailing by 2. The tying run is at first, and the speedy CO. Kamikona at third. And you feel like you got a lot of options now.
Well, Watley 0 for 2 in the game, but with a walk to lead off this game against the Racers. This is where she really kicks into gear. I feel like this is what Watley lives for. If she's 0 for 6 in the game, she's going to come through in the 7th when her team needs it most. And 0 for 6, I don't think that's ever physically happened to Natasha Watley.
Up and inside, it's 2-0. Jerry Glasgow. Talking things over with the home plate umpire. Gonna make a move and bring Sharonda McDonald in to run at third.
And what they're hoping for is something that stays on the infield. What Watley is best at is hitting that ball hard into the ground, getting that high chop, and that extra height on the ball is gonna give McDonald that extra time to run down the line.
2-0. With the tying run aboard here in the 7th. 3 balls and no strikes.
If you look at the 2 balls that Watley hit into play, if she could get either one of those in this at-bat, she scores a run easily. Might record an out, but scores a run.
And finally, Norris gets a strike, because still an important plate appearance, because you don't want to put the tying run into scoring position with the likes of Lowe and Shipman due up next.
Exactly, especially with the speed that is going to be on the base paths. CO in scoring position and Watley on first.
High hopper, the throw to first, not in time. It's 4-3 as McDonald comes in to score. 3 consecutive hits in a row.
Well, as soon as Norris had to backpedal for that ball, you knew she just didn't have the footing to get that ball out of her glove and get that ball across to first base. She didn't worry about any other player on the field, which is a smart decision by Norris. It was just the speed factor. Watley had too much momentum, had that movement all the way through her swing, really didn't give Norris a chance to get it out there.
And the question is, do you leave Norris in to close this out?
I think you have to stick with her. I don't know that there's anybody that could come into this game right now and have that same mindset that Norris has. She really has the ability to kick it up a notch when she's in these situations. She just has to make sure that coming up to this part of the lineup where you have speed but then you have power, you can't make a mistake and leave that ball over the plate, because Caitlin Lowe can also damage you with the ball in the gap.
Pride with a chance to win it. The winning run is on first, and the likes of Natasha Watley. Norris gets that all-important first pitch strike. On the ground, Myers, no play, bases loaded. And the winning run is in scoring position now for the Pride. And the big bat of likely the NPF Rookie of the Year, and Madison Shipman at the plate.
You just see how Lowe, all she has to do is get her hands out there, and she's able to direct that ball by hitting the top half of that ball. She doesn't even have to slam that ball into the ground. She gets that hard grass, that hard dirt, and she uses it to her advantage. Doesn't have to worry about where it goes or what out Myers is going to go after. She just gets herself on base.
Popped up and out of play.
Montalvo just runs out of room there, but you can just tell the range by both Myers and Montalvo on the left side of the field. If that ball is hit and stays in fair territory, well, foul territory, but stays in play, it's possibly that you see CO tagging up and trying to score at the plate.
Oh, what a big moment in this one. And what a backbreaker this would be for the Racers.
This is what you like to see, though, in the game of softball. You like to see a game that's hard fought, and I mentioned it from the beginning. The Pride is a great team with their back against the wall.
Line drive, base hit. That's going to do it. Shipman with the game-winning RBI as the Pride come from behind to win it 5-4.
You can't ask anything more of a rookie right there. And that really is kind of your breakthrough performance. I'm sure she's had a lot of great hits. She's had a lot of big RBIs, but nothing bigger than that. Pride needs a win here. They want to get that win in the series, and clearly easy for Watley to score on that play. Racers didn't even have to field that ball to know that there was too much speed on the base path.
What a moment for Madison Shipman. Another big hit for maybe the future NPF Rookie of the Year.
Such a big at-bat, and she even fell behind in that count. Knowing that she had bases loaded was really what changed her mindset. She kept her hands short and didn't get under that ball. That was the key. She stayed on top, she stayed straight through that ball, and she was able to get a pitch that was left up in the zone.
And Krista Bedard is standing by down on the field with Madison Shipman, who hit the game-winning RBI.
Well, Madison, that was a heck of a 7th inning. How did you guys dig deep and battle through?
You know, we told ourselves right at the beginning of that inning to work one at a time and not try to think about too much, just get your pitch every single at-bat, and it worked out.
Well, and Lisa Norris was dealing tonight, kind of had your number all night, but that at-bat, what did she throw you that you were able to get a good hit on it?
You know, she threw me another rise ball. She came at me with that first pitch, and I fouled it off, and I got a little bit more on top of that one, and it worked out really well for me, so.
Now, pretty much all season, this Pride team hasn't had to battle that much. What was that mindset going into the start, or when you were in the base, knowing that there was so much riding on this at-bat?
I think the best thing about this team is we're always calm. No matter if we're down by 7 or up by 7, we're always pretty much the same. So we went into that 7th inning like just score one at a time.
It's funny. I went up to Amanda Camacona. I said, what do you think Madison Shipman is going to do? And she goes, she's going to win it right now. How confident are you with this team moving forward?
So confident. I mean, this is the best team that I've ever played with, and I think we have a lot of fun together when we're on the field, and I think that takes us a long way too. But we've been playing so awesome. We're going to keep it up this next game.
All right, congratulations. We'll see you in 30 minutes.
Thanks.
Back to you, Bern.
And that certainly says a lot about this team. You see the 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. So much confidence for Madison Shipman. And this is a team that obviously continues to build momentum. And this is a game that certainly was one that they likely weren't going to win going into the bottom of the 7th. But once again, they find a way to win that unwinnable game.
And this is the second out of 3 games that I've been here that they've had to come behind in the 7th inning to get the win, and they just never give up. And it's pretty easy not to give up when you have a lineup where 1 through 9 and even players off the bench can come out and make the impact. And right there, Shipman's the hero this game. Kretschmann was the hero in another game. It's great to see from every player that they buy into the 7th inning comeback, and they never give up. One at a time, they're finding their way on base, and one at a time, they're finding a way to make things happen.
Well, we'll be back at the top of the hour with game 2 of the doubleheader. An exciting one here. 5-4, the Pride of winner. We'll hope for another exciting game coming up in about 30 minutes from Krista Bedard, Megan Bush, our entire crew. Bernie Gunther is saying so long for now. We'll see you in a half an hour right back here at ESPN Wide World of Sports.
This is our turf. Day in, day out, we show up. We are here to make an impact, to leave an undeniable mark on the game. We are power. We are performance. We are determined. Together, we are the CSF 7.